Welcome to One Real Story, and this is Real Talk. This is our short segment on where we highlight entrepreneurs and business owners with quick tips and advice to be able to help you. So today we have Emily Harmon, and she's an authentic leadership coach. She's a pretty awesome coach. So you pay attention to this story here. How you doing, Emily?
I'm awesome, Dana. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Glad to have you. So what do you do as an authentic leadership coach?
Well, I've just kind of started that, and I guess we'll get into a little bit about my background later, but I started becoming a coach about a year ago. I retired after working for the Navy in May of 2019, and then I started my coaching business. And my coaching is based along the transformation that I've had, which is, so basically in a summary, I help people be more authentic, be their real selves. I think a lot of times people leave their real self at home and are a different person at work. And how do we integrate that all and just be who we really are? That's what I help people do. A lot of times people are afraid to do that, or there's judgment around it. So I help them release that fear of judgment, and I help them create a life that is a life of their dreams with confidence, a life that they really want. So what does that mean? Well, I help them better understand themselves, and that's based on a lot of things I've learned about myself, and I've helped other people learn the same things. For an example, I used to consider myself, and I still have these tendencies, but an overachiever, hyperachiever. I'm always trying to be the best and to go forward,
Same
and
here.
to like,
Yeah.
and I think the military teaches us to push through. I was in the military, right? Push through, persevere, keep going. And sometimes we do that with the sake of not really feeling our feelings, not really taking a break to really realize who we are and how we feel about something. I think a lot about things, but like, how do I feel about things? So I feel like a lot of time in my career and as a single parent and all the challenges that I went through, I pushed through, I persevered, I just was tough. And at some point, I wanted to figure out a little bit more about myself, and that required understanding that sometimes pushing through isn't the best way. It's not the fastest way. Sometimes really like feeling those feelings, giving yourself a break. And when you slow down and not just pushing against the grain all the time, you can actually go faster. So
Taking the time out to smell the flowers along the way, right, of your journey.
Right. And so how do you do that? And I've really learned to do that. Meditation has helped me. That's one thing, but just mindfulness, especially as an entrepreneur, you can find yourself thinking, I should have done that, or about the past, or about the future, or about the next meeting coming up. And then you're not really living in the moment. And then you're probably not your best self when you're creating. So how do you set aside time during the day to like recenter, refocus, and not be pushing through all the time, but letting things flow? How do you work in flow? And that's something that I've learned just since I've been out of the military, which I would like to use to help entrepreneurs.
Well, that's pretty, I have a couple questions in that regard. So, it sounds like you get into time management a little bit as well within your leadership, because taking the time because you lose time because there's a lot of when you're a lot of responsibilities. And if you're a small business owner, there's a lot of things and skill sets that you have to have in order to get the business off the ground, unless you're privileged enough or have fortunate enough to be able to have the funds to hire the working capital up front to be able to have the employees to do what you need them to do.
Right.
But now, so I take it to authentic leadership. Now, one of the things that stood out to me was you teach people how to be themselves within leadership. Coming from a corporate world and then going into the military world, 15 years of corporate engineering, white collar job and everything like that. But when you go to the military, I felt that I could be more of myself. And you work hard. You do what you need to do, push hard, like you said, right? That's because that's what we're ingrained to be champions. Mm-hmm. I was already a champion prior to that, but it just kind of, just caveats to it and just helps make me even better and learn how to push even harder, right? But in the corporate world, I didn't feel like I could really be myself because Judgment.
That's interesting. I guess it's just based on everybody's different experiences. I mean, I was in the 6th class of women to graduate from the Naval Academy. I joined the military back at a time when women weren't 100% welcome. We weren't able to serve in combat, all those things. And maybe part of it, too, isn't the military, but it's the way I was raised or my personality type or how I learned to adjust to different situations. But I have run into, since I've been coaching, a lot of especially women and women from the military who feel the same way I do and experience the same things I did. And, part of it too is if you're going to lead a company, you really need to know yourself. You've got to be able to lead yourself first before you can then go lead other people. So there's a lot of, if you don't feel your feelings, if you don't deal with past trauma, then that's going to come out in other ways when you're leading your company. So that's some things I've learned too, is like how to deal with past trauma and not let that impact your future decision making. And it doesn't necessarily mean talk therapy. Yeah. I think they're figuring out ways to even more quickly release trauma, release any fear of judgment, to tame your inner critic, all the things that sabotage us when we're trying to move forward. Yeah. And get a handle on all of that. That's part of, really being more of who you want to be and not letting your internal critic, which is we all have one, but not letting that hold you back.
Yeah.
That voice in your head.
So do you help men too? Because, we don't feel anything, right? If you're a man and you have feelings, then you're not man enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can help men. There are men in my movement. I started this group called the Onward movement, and I've just started my coaching program. Right now, there's not a man in it, but there are men that come to some other meetings outside of the coaching program I have that feel really comfortable there because they a lot of times are facing some of the same challenges, but for them, if they speak up about it, that's a sign of weakness, right?
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of people feel this way. They just don't speak up about it.
Well, that's good. That's good. So also, 4 lenses. Are you familiar with that?
4 lenses. No.
So it's like a color code, and it allows for you to, it determines, it's like a assessment to be able to give you in leadership. Like blue was the feel inside. Like it lets you know. Oh, yes.
No, I know that. Yes. Blue, red, yellow. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Do you do a personality test with your?
I haven't done that, but I do something called the Enneagram. And then there's something else that I'm going to talk about at GovCon Summit, which is, what do they call it? Positive intelligence. It's kind of like a mindset test to let people, or assessment to help people figure out like what are the things that are holding them back or that are sabotaging them wanting to move forward, and then what skills and tools do they have in their head already that can help override that inner critic or the thing that's sabotaging their success. And so if you can eliminate some of that, and it helps you move forward quicker. And then if you're a business owner, it's definitely going to help you in making decisions as you run your business.
Absolutely.
Help you be focused.
So with that being said, what type of advice would you give to a business owner, entrepreneur?
So part of my background too is I used to be the head of the small business office for the Navy and the Marine Corps. So my background is military, but also, I used to be the advisor to the Secretary of the Navy and the Navy's leadership on how we could maximize opportunities for small businesses to participate in government contracting. So when I do my authentic leadership coaching, it's not like coming from, I come from a perspective that I understand what all these small businesses are facing. And now I even understand it even more because I've started my own small business, right? So I can really speak their language, but I also came from the military, so I can help them move forward faster. And it seems counterintuitive, but pushing isn't always the way to move faster. There are ways that we can work in flow during, as we execute everything that we have to do and not feel just so stressed. So one of a couple of bits of advice I would give to small business owners is be really focused. Know where you are and know where you're going. And actually, the podcast that I host called the Onward podcast is all about facing adversity and moving forward. So I interview my guests and that's one of my chapters in the book is like, how do I tie my podcast about facing adversity and moving forward to government contracting?
Yeah.
Well, the three main points that my guests make in the episodes about facing adversity and moving forward are they knew where they were and they knew where they wanted to go. Mm-hmm. And in my chapter, I give examples of some podcast episodes, like Rodney Flowers, who was paralyzed at age 15 and told he was going to be a quadriplegic for the rest of his life. He knew where he was and he knew where he wanted to end up. He didn't want to end up in bed for the rest of his life. So I share some things he did. So as a company owner, if you know where you are and know where you're going and you're able to kind of make minor tweaks, you're not like so stiff about it, but that's one tip. The next tip is to be able to ask for help. There's all these acronyms in government contracting, right? Like CORE, I don't know, CMMC, CPARS, statement of work, all these terms. And there's no way that, a brand new entrepreneur can know everything. So you've got to be asked for help. And that's one of the things that you get by coming to GovCon, right?
Yeah.
And the third thing is persistence. And so you do need to be persistent and keep moving forward. However, I think persistence doesn't always have to be just like toughness and pushing through. There's other ways to be persistent.
Okay. Well, look, I look forward to you speaking at GovCon.
Awesome.
GovCon is basically government contracting. It's a summit, and we'll get into that shortly. Mm-hmm. So now, speaking of GovCon, you're working on your first potential Amazon best-selling book, right?
Yeah.
So you're contributing author to the book called, I'll let you speak about it.
Well, it's called Becoming a GovCon Expert. And it's so cool. I attended GovCon last year for the first time. And that's when I knew Jenny. That's when I met Russ Barnes, Eric Wright, Josh Frank, and Mike Lejeune. And they had just come out with a book. And
all great people.
Yeah, they're all great people. And so I was fortunate that they invited me to be a part of their clan, I guess you would say. And I wrote 3 chapters of this book, and it was just awesome. I really enjoy working with them. We each have a different, area of focus, and so we each help each other out. And then I think that's what makes GovCon great, is that we all work together as a team. We're not competitors. If somebody comes to me with an issue that I don't think I can handle, I'll pass them to Josh or to Mike or to Russ. And so I think it's awesome.
Well, I think it's awesome that you contributed to it. So your chapters, do you have, out of the 3 chapters, do you have a favorite one?
Yeah, my favorite chapter is all about the authentic leadership piece of it. And just it really describes the journey that I went through in discovering, what do I really want to do after I retire, and who am I really, and what legacy do I want to leave when I leave this earth? What's my purpose here on earth? And I don't believe that my purpose was what I did in the military. It's what I'm doing now. Yeah. And so that's my favorite chapter. And when I speak at GovCon, I'm not going to be reiterating what's in that chapter because I wrote it several months ago and I've learned so much since then. I'm just going to build on that.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for your service. Go Air Force?
No.
I'm joking.
Navy.
I thought I was going to get you to say it.
You're not going to get me to say it.
Well, thank you for your service in the Navy. We definitely appreciate it. Now, can you elaborate on the GovCon Summit? Because I think that is an opportunity that our listeners or our viewers definitely should take advantage of. If they haven't considered government contracting, this is how you pretty much get your foot into the door. It's by going to this summit, purchasing the book, becoming a GovCon expert, because obviously building on your human capital is definitely important, and to be able to make the right steps forward. But can you elaborate on the importance of this summit?
I think the importance of the summit is to be able to meet other people that are in the same boat as you, and then other people as well that maybe are a little ahead of you that could mentor you. I think within, you know how it is when you're a veteran, everyone wants to help everyone else. So you're going to meet a lot of people that want to help you out. Yeah. You might meet some teaming partners. You've got these 6 experts all together, I would say all in one room, but you know what I mean? All in one Zoom room or whatever, that, we're going to be there to help them. And yeah, you can get the book, which I highly recommend getting the book, but you're going to get more than just the book by attending the conference. We're all going to elaborate and cover topics that are not exactly 100% right from the book. So it's not like, oh, if I get the book, why should I go to GovCon?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get to ask us questions. You're going to be able to learn from other people's questions. You know, I've been in a lot of group events and events like this before where, you know, you might be thinking, oh, I've got a question, but it's a stupid question, so I'm not going to ask it, right?
Oh,
and then someone asks
That's
it, and
me.
you're like, oh, yeah, and then you learn from that. So there's just going to be so much learning, and I saw that last year, and I can't wait to see it again this year.
No worries. So
Yeah,
how
but
long
it's getting better?
How long has it been around?
6 years. This is going to be the 6th year. But what we're really working on is it's going to be not just an annual conference. It's going to be a year-long series of events. And that's something that we're working on this week as to how we take GovCon Summit and make it not just a once-a-year event, but make it more of a community. That's something that we're working on. Jenny's a big community builder. I think they call her the Oprah of government contracting. So she's good at making connections and helping with that. And I just see this growing.
That's pretty awesome. And then, so how did you get invited? How did you become a part of this?
Jenny, when I retired from the Navy, she reached out to me. I had met her when I was the head of small business for the Navy and the Marine Corps. I had met her at a conference in Florida. Mm-hmm. And I guess she just kept her eye on me. And then when I retired, she said, oh, we want you to come speak at GovCon. And so I did. That was last year. It was right before COVID hit. It was like March 11th and 12th, something like that.
That's pretty cool.
So I spoke last year, and that's when I met the rest of them. And we ended up just continuing to work together.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Well, Emily, I think that we could still continue to go further. So if you would like to be on our show again, we would definitely like to have you. And
yeah, I'd love to.
Maybe talk about your book a little bit more, some of your other projects. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, I'll put all of your information, your contact information down in the description below under our podcast and our video on our YouTube channel. But to our listeners, thank you for listening in and watching. If you haven't thought about GovCon, this is the time to really start thinking about it. If you really want to take your business to the next level, you don't have to recreate the wheel. You can actually go in and the wheel has already been created. So you can jump in and learn the process and seamless, like through other people's education and some of their trips and falls where they show you how to not make the same mistakes at GovCon. So to teach you the right way. So once again, thanks again and talk to you soon. Bye.